so if you can dance, please dance. If you can sing, sing. If you can cook, cook. If you're a storyteller, tell stories. If you naturally are a great listener and you know how to listen beneath what is said, if you know how to understand people, you know how to just be present and literally hold space. Some people heal by literally holding space. They don't say much. And clinical therapists have that gift because coaches, we are not like that. I'm not the coach that keep quiet. I do keep quiet and listen, but I'm a teaching coach, and I use the wise woman in my coaching. I bring out the wise woman a lot because it's the teaching side of me. But you get those who know how to use silence, as a healing modality. People who help you meditate, people who help you with breath work, people who can just use silence as a healing. And you find yourself just releasing lots and lots of pain and lots of trauma just because someone was there in the silence with you. So yeah, there are many, many forms of healing or of healers. Now, like all archetypes, guys, like all archetypes, there is the shadow side to the healer. So generally, the shadow side of the healer shows up when the healer herself is wounded, without knowing that she's wounded. Remember, most healers are wounded. Most of us are wounded. But a wounded healer, whenever we refer to a wounded healer, we are generally referring to a healer who doesn't know that she's wounded or who thinks that they're fine and they're not. And let me make a side note, and I don't mean to offend anybody. In my coaching practice this year in particular, there are 3 people who are sangomas, who are my clients. And the amount of wounding that happens in that world, and I don't mean it badly, I mean it to say that just because you're a sangoma, it doesn't mean that you are healed. Just because you can heal others and you have certain gifts doesn't mean that you don't need healing, including the gobelas themselves. Just a side note. So a healer that doesn't know that they're wounded or that does not know where their wounding is, usually tends to be very dangerous and tends to operate in the shadow. So when you are wounded without knowing that you are wounded, it's very easy for you to be just toxic because you are bleeding all over people. So that's another shadow. That's shadow 1, a wounded healer. And it's a shadow because you don't know that you're wounded. You get wounded healers. I believe that most healers are wounded. Really, we are dealing with something all the time. But what makes them pure and good healers is because they know they have the wound, which means they tend to it, which means they have their own coaches, which means they do go to therapy. I was saying in January when I was asking people to come for coaching and teaching on how to pick a coach. One of the best ways to pick a coach is that ask them if they have a coach. A coach needs to have their own coach. If they don't, it's a red flag. And I'm not even going to mince my words. And by having a coach, I don't mean that they go for sessions like you, but they have someone that is their spiritual teacher, spiritual coach, where they see their own blind spot. So the first shadow is a wounded healer who doesn't know that they're wounded. They're just toxic. You are toxic. You are going to bleed all over the space. And I am now aware that I'm talking about now people who are in the healing space itself. Okay. Some of the shadows are when you have not admitted that you're a healer, when you don't know that you're a healer, you are going to attract to yourself very broken people, whether it's relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's a boss, whether it's social. You're just going to have a lot of people who are deeply, deeply broken and deeply wounded, who are just, so it's almost like they can smell and sense that you are a healer, you can help them. But because you don't know, you get the worst of the West all the time until you get your own coach. I hope I'm making sense, guys, because I can hear myself that this is getting complex. Until you recognize that, oh, I'm attracting broken people because maybe I can help. But the moment you do that, the moment you admit and you accept a step into the healing space, you then create a boundary and people come proper. Let me make an example to distill this. A long time ago, a few years ago, I used to be on social media very active, and I used to have a thing called We've Got Mail, where I'm telling you, a day I would get 20 people writing to me via inbox. This whole thing of people writing to someone via inbox and say, make me anonymous. I don't know, maybe I'm bragging, I don't know, but it started way back. It started in 2013, 2012. Um, I think the first time I saw it was on my wall. Correct me if I'm wrong, people. A lot of you come from Facebook, come from far with me. But I remember just it started, maybe it didn't start with me, but it started then in the 2012s. And I used to get a lot of people writing to me with all sorts of problems, like deep, weird problems, like my boyfriend beats me up every day. My boyfriend makes me have sex this way and that way. My husband cheats on me. My husband takes my money. Like it was the most craziest of stories. I mean, it was almost like my inbox was Moja Love, and Moja Love didn't exist back then. And I would post those on my wall, and we would spend the whole day trying to give this person advice. Comments would run into hundreds. It was just, yeah, it was just a thing. And do you know why was that happening? Because I had not owned that I'm a healer, I'm a coach, I am a comfortable space. I help you be comfortable. I bring you to yourself. I was not this person that you're listening to me now. So I got abused. And the reason it gets that bad is so that you can wake up to it. But the moment I then owned the space that actually, instead of you inboxing me and telling me your stories, your sub stories, and wanting me and my public space, public platform on social media to feel sorry for you and advise you and all that, using my energy. Remember, even though a lot of the advice comes from the comments, the energy is still mine. The platform is still mine. They wrote to me. I'm carrying it all. I'm carrying everything. And I'm vigilant, watching for people who would be judgmental, would be abusing the anon. Even if you are anonymous, you still feel this thing. So I would be reprimanding. Hey, it was a whole thing. But the moment I stopped, the moment I said, you cannot inbox me. If you want help, here's my email address, here's my time slot, here's my fee. A boundary started getting set, and the inboxes disappeared. But the people who came then on inbox, on my email rather, were a different level. They were not those ones. They they were at a different level. They understood that this energy exchange, this time, this money, and they were going to get my undivided attention. Does it land now? Does it make sense now? So if you have not owned your healership, you are going to be abused by your cousin. You're going to be abused by your colleague. Your colleague is going to always just complain to you about Pastor John every lunch hour. Your lunch hour is going to be about you and them, you giving advice. You are going to be abused by you're going to rescue a boyfriend. You're going to do all sorts of things because you have not owned the fact that actually I am a healer. And again, I'm specifically here talking about people who should be coaching, who should be healing, who should be actually using their gifts and charging for it and having some form of exchange and formalizing it. And when you formalize it, and I mean formal, I use the word loosely, but I just mean embodying it, more comes, more of the wisdom, more of the modalities. It's almost like the universe now works with you and gives you more of the thing that you are. You know, you get empowered by the Holy Spirit, by the universe, by the ancestor, whichever it is that you believe in. Okay, so yes, shadow side, it's when you have not owned up to I am a healer, which is why people who are supposed to go in Twasa and they run and run, they get so sick, they get ill, their money gets taken away, things fall apart until they own up to it. So that's another way that it becomes bad for you if you don't own up to being a healer. One way is that they will abuse you. You'll get the worst of the West. You know, you'll get the most broken people. Oh, we've got mail showed me flames. But I kept that going until I think for about 3 or 4 years. It went on daily, I'm telling you. It was an interesting time. Okay. Another shadow of the healer is obviously overfunctioning, where you think you can heal everybody, that you can do everything, you know, that you can. I'll give you another example. Actually, you see why I love this archetype, because it's my space. One of my clients, who's a coach herself, I was so proud of herself the other day, saying, not the other day, sometime early in the year, that she can have a session with a client or with a person, and they will talk for about 2 or 3 hours, and she'll just be there for them, Basically, to me, in her mind, she's showcasing her compassion and how much she cares. And I'm like, no, you are showcasing a lack of boundary. You are showcasing an over-functioning. You still don't trust yourself as a coach yet. You don't trust that an hour is enough. You don't trust that what you are giving in that hour, whatever it is that you do in that hour is enough. So you are over-functioning. That's a shadow of a healer, overgiving. And overgiving goes with underpricing. And oh my God, have I been there? You know, right now, without even sounding weird, my prices are very, very high, very, very high, but I've come a long way. I've come a long way to charge what I charge. And I get the clients that match that. I get the clients that match that. Okay. The other shadow of a healer is neglecting herself. Healers who just don't care about boundaries or their needs or taking time off or resting. You know, resting is still a bit of my issue. I struggle with rest, but I'm working on it. I have a coach who helps me with that. But part of being a healer is that you need a lot of rest. You need a lot of rest because it is not easy to carry people's issues. It is not easy to carry people's stories because it's not just you hearing via Zoom and then bye-bye. These people have you have infused a part of you, an energetic part of you, the part of you that heals them. It is something. It costed you something. And then you have to live with it. You have to process what you've had. There's a there's an anime called Bleach. No, it's not Bleach. But there's an anime that's very similar to Bleach. And there was this other healer, this other entity whose job was to just eat up people's sins or wounds, for lack of a better word. And it would eat. I mean, think of anime. And after a while, it would have to just disappear and go into the river, or was it the mountain? And it would just release that, and it would do a ritual to release all of that. Because we are not just listening to your stories and, yeah, bye, see you next week. It takes a lot out of us, and it stays with us. You know, people's story stays with us. And it becomes difficult because we can't share with the next person. I can't go in like, yo, Mgan. You know, that integrity. I might share a client story. Usually I have permission, or it's just generic, or I change it slightly just to make a point. But the things I hear in coaching, the things that people share with me, it is so sacred, but it is also quite heavy. So there's that balance. You know, it's a privilege that people are able to share with you such intense stuff, but it is also very, very heavy. So taking care of yourself as a healer and going to rest, if it means you are off for 3 months and you are not coaching for 3 months, which is what I'm going to do very soon. It's just that my schedule is interesting right now, but I will do it sometime next year. I need to take time off one-on-one coaching just for a period and focus on writing because I need to write my third book. So don't worry, it's not going to be this year. I've actually opened up for more sessions, a few more sessions for the rest of the year because the people who started with me in January, you know, because I offer either 3 months or 6 months or a year. So the ones who started in January, the 3 months programs are finished. They still come ad hoc, you know, and then the ones who were doing 6 months are also towards the end. So I have space for a little bit more to take us through to the year. So if you're feeling me right now, yeah, we can have a session. Please book. The details are always on the videos, always. Okay, what else do I want to share about the shadow? Yeah, I mean the rest are obvious, you know, where you don't have a lot of boundaries, you mistake being needed with being loved. You think your clients love you. Some do, but you know, there's a boundary. I mean, when I do coaching course, because I do have a course for coaches, we get into details with this, you know, how to manage all that, absorbing of people's emotions without releasing them. I'm one of the people that argue that you can't not absorb people's emotions. We are not clinical psychologists here. You do absorb people's emotions, but the problem is that you don't know how to release them, and so you end up carrying them, and suddenly you are depressed, suddenly you are exhausted, suddenly you take a break from coaching and never return because it is that heavy. It is that heavy. So yeah, that's I didn't think that I would go into the actual healing space because this is part of the course. This is part of the coaching teachings that I do. But I think it was important, and I hope I did it justice a little bit. There's so much more. I mean, you can tell that I'm holding back as well because I don't want to overwhelm you. But there's so much more with the healer. So if you suspect that you're a healer, especially wanting to practice like a coach or a teacher or anything that's similar to what I'm doing, yeah, please also book a session. Let's have a conversation and let's see where you are at and let's see how I help you. Okay. I was also going to go into mythology of Chiron, but this video is long enough. I will do mythology of Chiron some other time. I think I have released what I needed to release around the healer. Another thing I probably wanted to say is that we are at a time where we need healers to rise even more. You will recall in the early, couple 2015, from 2015, everyone was becoming a Sangoma, everyone. It was a call for the healer to rise. It was a call for the healer to rise. I believe it was a call for the healer to rise, to prepare us for these tough times we find ourselves in as a country and as a continent. So the presence of healers in this time is what's preventing things to go out of hand. Whether you support March on March or not, guys, the fact that on the 30th of June, they marched relatively peacefully. I mean, it's ridiculous to expect that there wouldn't be isolated incidents. But given the number of people who are marching across the country, for there to not be bloodshed in a way that it was anticipated, yes, it is because the leaders of March and March were clear that, please, we don't want this. But also the fact that these healers and people were praying and people were holding space for them was part of it. That's what we need healers for. A community without a healer falls apart. An organization without healers does not have healthy people, which is why organizations have wellness programs, wellness offices, but it's almost like it's an instinct that they know that people need to heal, but they don't know what they're doing. You know how I feel about wellness programs in the corporate space. But healers are needed everywhere now more than ever. Families in South Africa need to heal. We need healers to rise. Social workers, a social worker is another healer. I think I sort of mentioned it without mentioning the name at the beginning. Social workers, you need to rise. And you need to rise over and above the fact that you need a salary. And I don't want to go into that tangent because it will prolong this video that is already very long. Okay, so activate the healer within. And you can tell that it's slightly different archetype than the others as well. But activate the healer within, activate the compassionate part of you, the part that you know you're good at. Are you good with your hands? Do you have healing hands? Do you have a healing voice? Can you tell a story? Can you sing? Can you cook? Activate those things. Heal your family, heal your partners, heal your children, heal yourself. Heal the spaces that you find yourself in, because we need healers to awaken. It is time. And this is my story, guys. I cannot wait to hear yours.